The next note is on 3, so it's functioning like a quarter note. Even though it's an eighth note, it's still on the third count. So it's got to be played on the beat. All notes are played on the beat. Doesn't matter if it's an eighth note or a quarter note or the first 3 notes of an eighth note triplet. If it occurs on the beat, that's where you play it. And then the next note's a dotted quarter note, but notice it's on the and of 3. So it has to be played on the third part of the third counts triplet. 3 O let. Now in my mind, I said that clearly. If you're hearing it for the first time, it's like, ooh, it's too much, my mind's getting overblown with information. But in demonstration, that would become 1 O let, 2 O let, 3 O let, or even slower. 1 O let, 2 O let, 3 O let, 4 O let. I get going too fast, so it's too natural for me, but that's when you don't understand it, it has to be like 10 times slower than I think I should be doing. I understand. So 1 O let, 2 O let, 3 O let, 4 O let. 1 O let, 2 O let, 3 O let, 4 O let. Ba, boom, boom, ba. You got to put accents in, you got to put color in, you got to do things that make it feel like jazz. Doggone it, that's where they occur. And the thing is, you can take people from nowhere to somewhere. That's a good start. May not get to the end, but you can get 50% of the way there. Do-ba-da, do-ba-da-da, ba-do-da, do-ba-do-ba-ba-ba, ba-da, do-ba-do-ba-da-ba, do-ba-da-da-da. In my rhythm class, that's what they had to do. They had to do the jazz exercise and jazz finesse and clap an eighth note after to it. So they had to do just what I was doing there for a full page of jazz interpretation. I'm sure glad you didn't have to take that. But aren't you glad that if you did, you could learn how to do it? This next thing is the greatest insight that I've had in 20 years. And I've used it with graduate students that have come back and they said, that's one of the greatest insights I've ever received in 20 years. And so I'm going to give it to you. Let's see what you think. Just try and hang on with your, we're back to the beginning of this thing, like endurance, I'm getting tired, the room's too cold, I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I'm hot, I'm hungry, whatever it is. So am I. My back's aching, my feet are hurting, my voice is going. But this is important. So if I can get this out to you in a way that you understand it, if you come back and review it, it's not hard. It was hard to understand. It was hard to get into a way that I could teach it. Howard, my wife, and I sat around our kitchen table one night, probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and we started like at 7. And all we were trying to do was figure out these 9 rules. And we couldn't get the 9 rules in place. We knew it, we could hear it, we could feel it, we could produce it, but we couldn't find what the 9 rules were. And then little by little, we didn't even get them at the end of that session, but little by little I began to see it. And then it was like, leave it, and then aha, illumination, and it turned out to be right, and I was so excited. And then when I taught it, and it turned out to really be right, then I started refining it. And there's a ton more that has to happen here. Like I have to be able to define for you the large rhythmic patterns that are contained, the simple under the chart back here. If you're really doing this as a full course study, you'd have to see the relationship of the measures to the chart study, which shows you the large rhythmic patterns of metrical changing measure, those 3, because it's sort of integral to this. For instance, one thing, the simple meter seekers, simple meters are meters that have the same distance from the primary implied accent to the secondary implied accent. Compound meters are the same, but complex meters are meters that do not have the same distance from the primary implied accent to the secondary, and I'll explain that. If you have a simple meter like 4/4 time, it's the same distance from the 1 to the 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the primary accent on 1 and an implied secondary accent on 3. That's the same distance. And if you're in a compound meter like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's the same distance from 1 to 4. So that implied distance is the same between them. But you come over to complex meters like 5/4 time, and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you're using 3 plus 2. That's not the same distance between the first primary accent and the second implied accent. One's on 1, one's on 4. 3 counts, 2 counts, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One's on 1, one's on 3. So see, it's not the same distance. That has a lot to do with this. You got to get that in your head first. So we didn't understand that. But once we got that in our head, then we can devise rules. And here are the rules. Then I'll apply it to this conducting exercise over here, and that will just be mind-blowing if you understand it. Because Matt, for instance, as a conductor, you could apply this if you hadn't been applying this specifically to any conducting pattern you ever saw, any music that ever occurred in front of you, or teach it to any student by giving them 9 rules that would apply to every piece of music that they would ever come across. And that's what my graduate students were able to do, and that's where they didn't realize that you could reduce conducting down to the 9 rules. So here they are. If you're in a simple meter, and let's just, without going through all the jargon there, you've got a simple meter such as 2/4 time or 3/4 time. All right, very, very good examples of simple meter. Well, if you're at a simple meter of 2/4 time and it's going slow, really, really slow, you're going to divide your conducting beats. You're going to go 1 and 2 and. If it's going normal, you're going to go 1 2 1 2. If you have 3/4, you go 1 and 2 and 3 and. If it's going normal, you'd go 1 2 3. If those same measures are going fast, here's the magic word we look for, each conducting pulse will occur for every 2 or 3 beats because they're in separate measures. It's a 2/4 measure or a 3/4 measure because the distance from the primary accent to the secondary accent has to be the same distance. So I could have 1 2 1 2 3. That's one primary conducting note for each 2 beats and one primary conducting stroke for each 3 beats, but it's a 2/4 measure followed by a 3/4 measure, both being simple meter signatures. So they're either divided, 1 and 2 and 3 and, they're conducted 1 2 3, or 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. Those are not in the same measure, those are occurring or in different measures. That's the way you do the simple meters. Compound meters are easier. That's like 6 8 9 8 time. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay? If you're going slow, you conduct the pulses. If you're going moderately fast, you conduct the pulses. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. If you're going fast in compound meter signatures, you have one conducting stroke occurring for every 3 pulses. So that is 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Or 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. One conducting stroke occurs for every 3 pulses in a compound meter. Otherwise, you conduct the pulses. That's it. That's the compound meters. So slow compound meters, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1. Do that one. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1. You come up with any kind of complicated patterns, but you keep your patterns really simple. Believe me, no conductor conducts like any other conductor that's trained or untrained when you get it simply. And then you're going faster, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Or 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. All right, here's the capper on it. We take complex meter signatures and we start out with, say, a 5/4 time. Going slow, I'll use 2 plus 3. 1 and 2 and, that's a 2. 3 and 4 and 5 and, that's the 3. Now I'm going to go moderately fast. 1 2 3 4 5. Now I'm going to go fast. It's an and. 2 conducting strokes and 3 conducting, I didn't say strokes. 1 conducting stroke will occur for every 2 pulses and 1 conducting stroke will occur for every 3 pulses within the same measure. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. That's the whole difference between the simple and the complex. They were in separate measures, 2 and 3. In the complex, they're in the same measure. 1 2 3 4 5. Did you get that? I faltered around just a little bit, but it's tough. Okay, it's been a long time since I said that, because I never got this far in some of the other clinics. Now, look at the conducting examples here, and I think I can get it by example so you'll really see it. Please answer if you can. I hope you can. What kind of a measure is the first measure? A 2/8 measure. What kind is that?
Simple.
Simple. All right, I'm going to go at a moderate tempo. How am I going to conduct it? Conduct the pulses, that's right. I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, what kind of a measure is the next measure?
Could be simple.
Right? It's simple, but is it going to be slow or fast because of how fast I just went on that first measure? Fast, right. So one conducting pulse will occur for that measure. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you see that's right back to rule 1, going at a fast tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, what kind of a measure is the third measure?
Simple.
Simple. 1, 2, 3. What kind of a measure is the fourth measure? Compound. It is occurring though at what kind of a speed?
Slow.
Slow.
Moderate.
Moderate. So I'll conduct the pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What about measure 5?
Complex.
Complex. And what does the notation show you about the division of the conducting pattern?
2 plus 2 plus 3.
2 plus 2 plus 3, or 4 plus 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. What about the next measure, 6?
Simple.
Simple and fast speed. 1, 2, 3. So look what starts to happen. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2 plus 3. In the same measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 plus 3 in the same measure, but it's complex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Number 11. Complex in the same measure. 2 plus 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3. See, I followed every rule. I had my different tempos. I did simple, compound, and complex rhythms that occurred at different tempos, but they were locked into these 9 rules. They didn't have any choice. So here's the rhythms. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. All people that conduct at the rhythm class have to do that. The ones that got it. All right. And we're at the grand finale here. Metronome displacement, the last thing. I'm a little worried about this one, but I didn't pick a good example, but I'll suffer through. My fault. I didn't realize it until I started working on it. Let's get that to go down a little faster. Anybody knows about metronomic displacement? Let me say a couple things about it here. Okay, now before I start it, the metronome is your best source of practicing to have an absolutely necessary, unemotional, unchanging external beat. That's probably written down, but I've got to emphasize that. To play with the acronym of the metronome is just one of the most important things you can do as a student or an advanced player. You'll never, ever outgrow the metronome. Never. No musician possesses such a great sense of time or a time that's so perfect that it can't be improved by practicing with the metronome. Now, I could put the metronome so that the quarter note equals 60, and I could have some space in there to be right or wrong, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make it harder. I'm going to practice the first one with the 8th note equaling the 8th note after beat. So the 8th note pulse that you hear, the pulse you hear on the 8th note will actually be the 8th note after beat. On the second one, I'm going to make the pulse sound the 3rd note of a triplet. And the only reason I said that was a little dangerous is that I've got some 8th notes in there. And the 8th notes mean that I'm having to do a 3 against 2, while the metronome is also clicking on the 3rd note of the 8th note pulse. And I found that got weird, so I'm scared. The last one is the metronome is clicking on the 4th, 16th note of each count. I'd rather do 1 and 3, but we'll see how 2 goes. Just going well enough, don't worry about that. Find out. Okay, let's see if I can get a metallic sound. You should hear it. Okay, now you would expect that to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and way because there's too much room for error in there. I could rush or drag a little bit, and you could still get away with it. But if I put that on the eighth note after beat, it's going to hold me right in place, or I'll get off on it. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 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 and 3, and 4, okay? So there's that. Let's see what happens here. You would expect it to be 1 olet, 2 olet, 3 olet, 4 olet, 1 olet, 2 olet, 3. This should look familiar to you now, right? See all where it came from, polyrhythm, renovated cursive couple counts. 1 olet, 2 olet, 3 olet, 4 olet, 1 olet, 2 olet, 3, and 4 olet, 1. 2 olet, 3 olet, 4 olet, 1, 7. But I'm going to have it go let 1 olet, 2 olet, 3 olet, 4 olet, 1 olet, 2 olet, 3 olet, 4 olet, 1 olet, 2 olet, 3, and 4 olet, 1, let 2 olet, 3 olet, 4 olet. I'll just call it right there. Okay. Now this next one's going to be the 4th 16th note of a group of 4. You would expect it to go 1 and the 2 D and the 1 and 2 D and the 1 D and the 2 D and the 1 D and the 2 D and the 1 D and the 2 and by the way, I've never had a chance to do it before, but you remember that thing about pace? Remember, you practice your normal rhythms? Every rhythm that occurs right here is made up of those 16 divisions of the quarter note, okay? So one of the things you can do is get good at practicing these slowly, and then you can start practicing very fast. And that would sound either like this. 1 and 2 D and 1 and 2 D and 1 D and 2 D and 1 D and 2 D and 1 D and 2 and 1 D and 2 and 1 D and 2 D and 1 D and 2 D and 1 D and 2 D and 2 D. Or you turn it into like a phonetic. So you're just playing the sound, but you're recognizing the sound go by. Da 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 ba da 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 da. That's the rhythm inside you again. That's mastering the rhythm down deeply. D, 1 D, and da, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, 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 and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da. Almost got you there. Almost got you. All right, so that was on the 4th 16th note of every count. I hate mistakes. Let me try that. Da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D. Da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and 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 da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da, 1 D, and da, 2 D, and da. I think my mind's still spinning on that fast. Okay, was that sound that not luck me or something? That's all, folks. You know. Somebody made that. I've included with your literature your life and career as a musician. It's supposed to be in all those. And then after that, I've included how to save $1 million for retirement. I hope you pay attention to that. And then I've included what's the last part of today's celebration presentation, which is the opening of my new site, Melodic Merchant. I really, really hope that you all will come in here and join me in Melodic Merchant's forum. It represents 50 years of work here before I can actually open it. But the forum's open. And if you can go in and start listening to some of the music that's on here, I'll give you some examples of it. I think you'll like it. Then the forum forum is open for you to contribute to, and what the forum asks you to do is participate, find any kind of unusual musical examples that you might send a link to it, share musical history, share personal experiences, share philosophy about music, enjoy what you're reading about. There's some very sensitive postings on here already about unique musical experiences. Some of it even bring you to tears right now. I mean, it's just so sensitive. It brought the whole committee to tears that were judging this one particular person. So anyway, all that's on there. And then I've offered all kinds of practical advice. I've already got onto the entrepreneur side. You know, this is for it's for the I'm just going to total blank here. For great musicians and aspiring entrepreneurs, for the aspiring entrepreneurs, I've got lots of links on there already that are freebies, free links to various websites, and I'll have more information going up there constantly from friends and myself over the next number of years. There's going to be a history of the symphony, all kinds of things, my life in the symphony, and 53 jokes related to all kinds of events that happen in the symphony, all personal stuff, all things you'd never find anyplace else. And so I hope you can come in and take a look and be part of this. It's a life experience, like I said. I think it's somewhat self-explanatory, except that it's extremely complex. It's very complex. That's why I gave you sort of a verbal sight map to it. And then on the left-hand side, not on the page she's on, but there is a place there that's called the site map. It'll come up on another page, it's okay. But you can see the site map, and you can follow the site map. And that under Learning Rhythm, which is one of my websites, because I run an internet mall now, the Learning Rhythm site that that initial introduction was playing from, there are my 2.5-hour lectures for developing rhythmic sensitivity and another hour's lecture specifically for percussionists. And then other posts will be added to that. That's coming from Vimeo, if you're familiar with that. It's a great site to post through, sort of equivalent to YouTube, but better. So let's see what we got here. I think you'll really enjoy this. I'm going to play 3 things for you. The first is going to go to some snare drumming. And do I have hopefully some percussionists out here? I've got a few hands. Okay, well if you aren't a percussionist, how many musicians do I have out here? Oh, great. Okay, I don't know how much you understand about or enjoy or watch percussion music, but this will be representative of some of the fastest, most intricate percussion music that can be played, national level competition performance. And so I'll give you a chance to listen to that. There are just 3 excerpts that I'd like for you to hear, and then you can dig down in the site for probably 5 hours and not get through what's already posted on the site. So the first is an example of some improvised rudimental snare drumming, and then it runs through the rudiments. Only takes about 5 minutes, 2 times. The first one at regular speed, and the second is called Burning the Rudiments, and you'll see why. Okay? 300 notes that occurs approximately in 3 minutes. That's 206 on the metronome, and it's all 16th notes, and it's played on the marimba. And it's not perfect accuracy, but it was a one-time performance at the Oberlin Conservatory, and it was produced live, one shot through.